So imagine you're watching a live weather broadcast where, like, a virtual hurricane is swirling right around the reporter in real time.
Yeah, it's always a wild visual.
Right. But what locks that three-dimensional illusion perfectly into place isn't just the rendering software. It actually relies on a $4,895 robotic eye.
Which is quite the price tag.
Exactly. So welcome to today's deep dive into the technical spec sheet of the Bolin Technology R9-230NXW NDI FHD PTZ camera. Our mission today is to unpack why broadcast professionals drop nearly $5,000 on this specific piece of hardware.
I mean, is this just like an extremely overpriced webcam?
Oh,
Because it feels like upgrading from a bicycle to a Ferrari, right?
yeah.
What actually justifies that massive jump in professional video?
Well, to ground the conversation a bit, it is definitely not a webcam. It's a highly specialized robotic eye. And to understand that price tag, you really have to look at the physical hardware first.
Okay, let's get into it. So the acronyms in the name tell a lot of the story. PTZ simply means pan, tilt, zoom. It's a motorized remote-controlled unit. But the NDI HX3 FHD part,
That's a mouthful.
it really is. But it means this camera is processing and sending highly compressed full HD video directly over a standard local network with virtually zero delay. It's essentially a self-contained broadcast truck.
Wow. And looking at the spec sheet, it points to the internals as the core of that capability, right? It uses a Sony-powered 11.8-inch Starvis 2 sensor.
Oh, that's the one.
And the low light threshold listed here is 0.000008 lux, which, just to give you listening some perspective, a clear starlit night is about 0.0001 lux.
So it's incredibly dark.
Right. So this camera is pulling a color image out of near pitch blackness. How does it actually manage that without the feed just turning into a grainy mess?
That is where the 8M ultra-high resolution lens and Sony's image signal processor come in. They're executing real-time computational photography.
Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
So instead of just cranking up the ISO,
Which would amplify the light, but also the digital noise, right?
exactly, instead of doing that, the processor uses temporal noise reduction. It analyzes multiple frames back to back, identifies the random static noise, and just subtracts it.
Oh, while preserving the actual photons hitting the sensor.
You got it. It digitally interprets and faithfully reproduces the light. That synergy is what maintains a stable 1080p 60 color feed, even in those tough, low-light environments.
That makes a lot of sense. And then you add the 30x optical zoom to the mix. I mean, combining a 30x zoom with a stabilizer is, well, it's kind of like trying to hold a pair of powerful binoculars perfectly steady while standing on a bumpy boat ride.
That's a great way to put it.
Because if you're zooming in 30 times from the back of an arena, even microscopic vibrations from the bass, speakers, or foot traffic would completely ruin the shot.
Oh, absolutely. But the Bolin has a super image stabilizer. It utilizes internal gyroscopes that actually detect those micro movements.
And then it compensates for them.
Exactly. It mechanically shifts the lens elements in the opposite direction to cancel them out. So a perfectly stabilized, noise-free image is just the baseline here.
Okay, so we know it sees perfectly. But how does it, think? Because a pristine video feed alone doesn't explain the VR and AR magic trick we talked about earlier.
Right. For augmented reality to work in a live broadcast, the rendering engine needs to constantly know the camera's exact physical orientation in space, which leads directly to its software capabilities.
And that brings us to the FHD protocol, right? The ultra-low latency AV over IP streaming.
Yes, FREE stands for Free Dimensional Video Protocol.
Okay, let me push back for a second and play the skeptic here. FREED kind of sounds like a marketing buzzword. Like, what does providing access data actually mean for the viewer watching at home? Don't we already have software tracking that can just look at a video feed and lock a graphic to a specific pixel?
I mean, we do. Software tracking works great for post-production, but requires contrast, identifiable tracking markers, and most importantly,
Processing time.
exactly, in a live broadcast environment, you just can't spare the latency required to analyze the video frame by frame.
Because the graphics would lag behind the real-world action.
Right. So FREED bypasses the image processing entirely. It feeds the raw mechanical pan, tilt, and zoom data straight from the camera's internal motors directly to the rendering software.
Oh, wow.
And it updates every single millisecond. So it allows broadcasters to seamlessly blend baseband video feeds with immersive three-dimensional AR graphics,
Like the weather reporter standing in a virtual hurricane.
or automated tracking during a high-speed sports broadcast. It's instantly feeding that access data so the graphic stays flawlessly locked to the floor without sliding around.
That is wild. So what for you listening is pretty clear. The next time you watch a seamless virtual sports analysis or a perfectly framed live event, remember what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, you aren't just watching a human camera operator at work.
Right, you're watching a sophisticated automated robot like the Bolin PTZ doing the heavy lifting.
It really leaves you with a profound question, though. I mean, if a sophisticated camera can already use automated access data and AR integration to independently track and frame complex live events,
Yeah.
how long until human camera operators are entirely replaced by self-directing broadcast algorithms?
Man, that is a thought to chew on.